Do you have any podcast list that you need to turn into a spreadsheet in order to keep track of things or to create a tracker or to, I don't know, have some sort of spreadsheety list from it, but you don't code well? And I kind of hid my mouth there for a second because I hate coding. I don't like to. And that's why my brain is blowing up right now because I just had ChatGPT turn a numbered list in Google Docs into basically a spreadsheet, a CSV file. And I want to show you what I did. I had some success and some failures with it, but in the end, I got exactly what I wanted. And I want to show you how we got there and brainstorm a few ways that you can use this for your podcast messaging and organization. Because when you talk spreadsheets, we're talking organization. All right. Hey, this is Steph from Coffee Like Media, and I am obsessed with podcast growth. And part of growth is organizing your shit. No kidding. It's an inevitable part of the whole process. And that's what I've been doing for my own clients for a few years. And inevitably, when I organize their stuff and I realize, oh man, my own podcast could be in better order, that's what I'm doing today. Although today's ChatGPT task actually came from a blog post I wrote the other day when I was having a little bit of fun with Chatty's voice function that I like to use that you'll see in a lot of these episodes, where I asked Chatty 100 ways to use ChatGPT, ironically, and very meta, to for their podcast messaging, and it actually gave me a list of 100. The hallucinations started about 80 to 90 into the 100, but when I counted them there, I think there were about only 4 or 5 hallucinations. So it's still over 90 ideas of how you can use ChatGPT for your podcast messaging. And I want to make sure that that blog post that I will show you right now, the list from that blog post, gets into my podcast tracker for AI and podcasting, because I want to pull ideas from that list to make content, to do experiments. Both of those things are so connected to each other. So let me show you. So the blog post is here, nearly 100 podcast messaging tasks for ChatGPT to help you with your podcast messaging. To help you with. Yeah, that's probably need a new title there. But here's the list. And I highlighted the ones that are bigger are ones I've already done myself personally for my podcast, my clients' podcasts. And the ones that are a little bit smaller are things I haven't used ChatGPT for. But I want this list that I ironically, for some reason, copied over into a Google Doc. So it was a numbered Google Doc. This is useless to me for tracking purposes. I need a spreadsheet in order to have checkboxes and all kinds of spreadsheety things. So what I did is I went into ChatGPT, and I didn't even know if this was going to work, but I had to try it. And I said, hey, can you turn a Word document into a CSV file? And it said yes. And I cheered. And then I copied it in. So I copied it from here, from this Google Doc. Don't even ask me why I put a list in Docs. I think I was just working fast. And I did save it. I saved it somewhere I could find. So that's progress compared to the millions of lost files that I eventually need to sort through, because I am human. And then I went back in and I copied it. And then it said, okay, let me convert it. And it did all what it needs to do. And it said, you can copy the above text and save it as a CSV file, or I can generate the CSV file for you. Now, don't get caught up on the terminology here. CSV file is basically just a file that has different fields. Fields being like cells in an Excel spreadsheet or a Google Drive sheet. It's just the different bits. It's split up into the bits so that when you transfer it into a sheet, it doesn't all clump into one cell. We've all had that happen, right? We don't want that to happen again. So that's what a CSV file is. And I'm like, heck yeah, I don't need to do this. You do it. So it brought in Python, which is probably it is the coding language I was the most fluent in, and I still hate using, even though it is a lovely program. I just don't like coding. And then look at this. Here it is. Boom, download podcast content CSV. If I open the CSV file, you're going to be like, that's disgusting. Why do I need to see that? Now it's going to save it again. So let me actually show you. I don't think it'll actually let me show it. No, it's not going to open it in any way. You have to open it within a program. So it looks ugly if you open up the CSV file on and of itself. So I asked, can I copy this directly into Google Drive? Because I would prefer, I thought I saw last week, actually. I thought I saw last week that you could actually, there was in the lower left-hand side of ChatGPT last week, I swear I saw a connection to Google Drive. I do not see that anymore. Right now, as you can see up here, I'm in ChatGPT 4.0, which is for Omni, not for the paid one. Someday I'll switch, but right now I like to keep it as accessible as possible so that everybody can use the versions I'm using. But I swear next to this attachment thing, there was a Google Drive symbol and I didn't use it and now it's gone. So did it move or something else happened? So I really just wanted to go straight from this CSV file into my Google Drive, but that apparently is not the case. I won't read out every step that Chatty and I went back with in our prompt chaining, but it basically said no. So I needed to do what I'm guessing is what you think you would do is I went over into, and I'm trying to find the sheet. Here it is. I went over to this sheet and just pasted in the CSV file. And of course, as I'm sure you've had experience with before, when you do that, there is no formatting that is useful. So I have to actually do the formatting to make it usable. But is it the 100 from the original one? Let's see. Yep, 101 because the heading is the first one. So it copied it over perfectly. That is amazing. I think what I'm going to do now is add a few checkboxes, like over here. It's amazing how functional I am when I'm not recording, and then as soon as I record, normal things become difficult, and then I want to freeze the top row. I'm probably going to put episode number because I'm going to be using these a lot in different episodes. And then I'll probably have a notes column because there's always things that come up that I'll want to note that, yeah. So for me, I think that's probably as much as I'll do with this right now. And then I'm going to save this file in this information, copy link. I'm going to save that in my podcast spreadsheet. This is a workbook within that sheet. So here's the current season. This is my episode tracker. And these are the 100 ideas. So when I make a new episode, like I'm working on number 28 right now, how meta is this? That's not the title, actually. But yeah. So what I'm going to do, if I don't have something immediately that day, or I just feel like I'm in an experimental mood, I'm going to go into this sheet and I'm going to look at the ones that I haven't used yet. And I'm going to think, do I need that or do I need to to do this for one of my clients? And then I'm going to experiment with it and create an episode of it and then track it on here. This is my podcast workflow. I try to keep it short and simple. So what are some other ways you can use this going from a list in a Word document to a spreadsheet file? How else can you use that for your podcast? Oh my gosh, how many lists can you have for your podcast? You have a list of episodes. You have lists of guests, maybe if you have a guesting type of podcast. I mean, you could even take lists of things you've written in emails. Like if you write any emails to people or to yourself with ideas, you could turn those into a spreadsheet using this. I mean, obviously you want to have it be something that's long. Otherwise, you can just retype it or copy it over one cell at a time. Because I mean, clearly, if you have, let's see, how many, like less than 10, it doesn't make sense to spend the time on ChatGPT to turn this into a CSV file and then copy it over. But if you have more than 10, I think it would save you time. So any list that you have, if you have advertisers or sponsors, even your social media stuff, if you have like a list of social media posts, but that I would imagine you would have started that list in a spreadsheet itself. But if you didn't, you could use this prompt to do that. So this is more of an organizing thing more than it is shaping the messaging itself. But honestly, organizing your stuff is part of the process of keeping track of your podcast messaging, what people see. the text they see that you put out into the world about your podcast. I'm having a hard time listing off more specific uses because I think there are so many. And as soon as I stop recording and get back to work, I'm going to think of even more. But all I can say is if you have anything in a document, in an email, in a blog post, and you want to turn it into ultimately a checklist, I think this is the quickest way you could possibly do that. So you can spend more time working on the things in the checklist than working on making the damn checklist, which is progress. This is one of the few times that I think Chatty will actually save me time. So far, the things I've been doing in ChatGPT for my podcast messaging have saved me mental space, have saved me too much thinking time. But this one actually, I think, will save me time. Finally, almost a year and a half of using this every day. And I finally reached one that I think will save me time. Cool beans. All right. If you think of any other uses, please feel free to comment anywhere that you're consuming this. And if there isn't a place where you're consuming this, head over to podcasting.substack.com. There is a comment section there under this episode. I can't wait to hear what you're using this for. Okay, happy spreadsheeting. Has anyone ever said that? I have. Okay, bye.